Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to Kardec Radio in this beautiful new decade of the 21st century. Kardec Radio is here to always nourish our souls. And because the beginning of a new decade is always a gift from God, as well as because we are celebrating Kardec Radio's 10th anniversary this year. We are dedicating all of our programs this week to the apostle of Spiritism, Leon Denis. Did you know that he was born on January 1st, 1846, 175 years ago? Beautiful, right? So we tonight are going to pay homage to Leon Denis by discussing the law of worship, reasoned faith, through the light of his beautiful poetic and educational dissertation, inspired by his writings on chapter 44 of this book, which we highly recommend. A very inspirational book to light divine wisdom inside of all of us. So welcome, dear friends. I am Carol Correa, and it is our honor to be together here on Kardec Radio in this beautiful new year and new decade. Please, if you are joining us, feel embraced by the mentors of Kardec Radio, who plan every single study session with much love and care, thinking of you, thinking of all of us, thinking of exactly the remedy that we may be in need the most at this very moment. For they are emissaries of God, working tirelessly to support us. So please feel welcomed, feel supported, feel embraced by all of those in the spiritual realm who loves us all. And if you would like to participate more directly, dear friend, of our study session, which takes place every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, please feel free to write a comment right here on the chat. The more we engage with this beautiful, immortal, and enlightening teachings, the more we ascend to the higher purposes for which we are incarnated on the earth in this very special time. So let us welcome this new year, this very beautiful new decade, the blessing of being reincarnated on the earth, knowing of Spiritism by reading a couple of paragraphs once again in chapter 44 of this beautiful book, filled with hope and written with much love by Leon Denis. So let us begin our reading. Leon Denis, on this chapter entitled Faith, Consolation, and Hope, begins his dissertation by explaining to us what faith is. Then he goes on to speaking of blind faith, and then he follows through by writing a beautiful dissertation on enlightened or reasoned faith. Because reasoned faith, dear friends, is the very basis upon which Spiritism stands. This will be the focus of our study tonight. So, hello, Anderson da Silva. It's wonderful to see you here, dear friend. Happy New Year! Happy new decade! May you and all of us be blessed with many inspirational moments and transformations for the good. Right, dear friends, please feel embraced and welcome. So, Leon Denis, in explaining reason faith to us, says reason is a superior faculty which is meant to enlighten us on everything. As all our faculties do, it develops and grows with exercise. The human reason is a reflection of the eternal reason, or as St. Paul said, it is God within us. To underestimate its value and usefulness would be the same as underestimating human nature and insulting the divinity itself. The intention to replace reason by faith reveals utter ignorance of the fact that both are interdependent, strengthening and invigorating one another. Their union opens broader perspective to the mind, harmonizes our faculty, and provides us with inner peace. So, right here, dear friends, Leon Denis makes three beautiful revelations for us that could become our new year and new decade resolutions. The first of Leon Denis' revelations is that we grow in faith. That means that faith is like a divine muscle that we need to exercise. So, life, dear friends, presents us with many opportunities to experience faith. Faith and reason, as Leon Denis says, is not a theoretical concept. They are living tools that God grants us in order for us to acquire wisdom through experience. So let us think of an example to bring this closer to our hearts. Let us think of the medium Chico Xavier. Chico Xavier was a very devoted spiritist. He spent more than 70 years of his life studying and practicing spiritism, but he didn't start off already at the stature that he acquired at the end of his life. He started off not knowing that he would psychograph so many books, not knowing of what his mission would be. He just put one foot after the other, took one step at a time, listened to the advice of the spirit mentors, and marched forward. His secret was to persist, to be obedient, and to be disciplined. This is how he grew in faith, dear friends, by surrendering to the advice of the mentor spirits with much discipline, not wanting to conquer the world, quote unquote, at once, but rather taking small steps towards eternal success. So, first lesson for us is that we too, this new year and this new decade, are being invited, dear friends, to exercise our faith. And Leon Denis explains to us that it is through reasoning that we exercise our faith. Let us think of Chico Xavier once again. He didn't accept or embrace Spiritism so dearly just because someone told him so. As a matter of fact, Chico Xavier studied Spiritism, used his reasoning as a faculty to examine the principles of Spiritism, consulted with people who were more experienced than he was at the time, read Kardec very thoroughly, and then came to his own conclusions that this made sense. So he did not become a faithful apostle of Spiritism as he was and is overnight, just because someone told him to do so. He used his reasoning, his intelligence, his critical thinking to understand the principles before he embraced them. And this is what we are being invited to do as well. So if we are wondering, yes, we do want to exercise our faith in this new year, how can we do so? By using our reasoning, studying, instructing ourselves. This is why Kardec Radio devotes so much of its time to the study of Spiritism, because it is through instructing ourselves that we can use our critical thinking and understand why God allows for the circumstances of our lives to be such. Let us think of another example, dear friends. Let us think of, for instance, Malala. Malala is a young woman who received the Nobel Peace Prize. Why? Because she wanted to have an education, and in the social context of which she was part, she was not allowed to pursue an education. So instead of accepting the circumstances as such, she used her reasoning, her critical thinking, and she trusted her faith inside of herself to move forward and open up a new horizon that was different than that of the mainstream at the time in the social context of which she was part. So she didn't just utilize her faith alone to move forward. She reasoned the steps that she was going to take to pursue an education. She analyzed the risks. She consulted with her father. She had the support of her father. She analyzed what the problems could be if she took such a risk, and she decided to move forward because she thought not only of herself, of her own good, of her own education, but she thought that she could be a role model, open up new pathways to other young women in the same circumstances as well. So we see another example where faith is boosted by reason. We are very grateful to Spiritism, and Leon Denis confirms it as Kardec did throughout his work, that it is reasoning that allows faith to be unshakable, because we believe in a particular principle because we understand it, not just because we take it in as a dogma. We are grateful to Kardec, Leon Denis, and everyone who has brought the Spiritist principles to us, because we no longer have to choose between reason and faith. We can actually have both. We no longer have to be conflicted. Right, dear friends? This is especially important nowadays that we are faced with a pandemic. Many are discarnating at the current times. We who can reason our faith believe that when someone transitions to the other life, they don't die. not just because we have faith in God, but because we know we actually have accounts proving to us that there is such a thing as life after life. So, once again, because we can pair reason with faith, because reason is there to support faith, because we have all the um, works by Andre Lewis, for instance, to provide us with evidence, and we can analyze the evidence. As researchers, as critical thinkers, we understand that the goodness of the Creator extends much beyond the current life. And this is why we find such great consolation even in the face of physical death. So, this is what Leon Denis is proposing to us. One, let us exercise our faith. Two, let us use reasoning to expand our faith, because it is in this way that we strengthen it. And let us look now at the third pillar or proposal that Leon Denis is making to all of us in this new year and new decade. He says, faith is the mother of all noble sentiments and great deeds. The individual who have the individuals who have deep convictions remain unshakable in face of danger and throughout their trials. On top of all the seductions, the flatteries, and the threats, they hear a voice in the depths of their conscience that rings louder than the voice of passion, and whose call sustains them in the struggle and warns them in times of danger. In order to produce such results, faith must rest on solid grounds as provided by free examination and freedom of thought. Rather than dogmas and mysteries, it should acknowledge only these principles resulting from direct observation and from the study of natural laws. Such is the character of the spiritualist faith. What a beautiful proposal and reminder from Leon Denis. He is reminding us that we have the blessing of having the veil, the mysteries of life lifted from us. How so? Because Spiritism began with the codification, with more than 1,000 questions being answered to all of us, boosting our wisdom, allowing us to make wiser choices, understanding and knowing the consequences of our actions, understanding and knowing the law of action and reaction, letting go of dogmas, because now we have answers to our direct questions. So we are very grateful that our faith can stand strong, because now we can study, we can instruct ourselves, we can know based on evidence and research, as Leon Denis proposes, that life truly goes on, and that every trial we undergo is there for us to exercise both. Reason and faith is no longer either or, it is both reason and faith. So let us then embrace the beautiful proposals of Leon Denis that allows for us to already live a better, more fulfilling life, regardless of the circumstances that are transitorily a part of our context. So once again, what are Leon Denis' recommendations? Number one, that we exercise our faith. Number two, that we sustain and boost as well as expand our faith through the use of reasoning. And number three, that we instruct ourselves so that we no longer are prisoners of dogmas, and so that we can invest in our divine growth with wisdom for immortality. So these are the pillars for the new decade that Leon Denis is offering to us. And for that, we are truly grateful, for we have New Year resolutions to embrace not only for 2021, but for immortality. Right, dear Shane? Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the beautiful work that you do right here on Kardec Radio every Tuesday morning and evening as well. Thank you, dear friends. Together we can invest in our immortal growth. And so it is with this in mind, the proposal of continuous expansion through reasoned faith, that we would like to honor and thank Leon Denis for his dedication to the Spiritist principles, for further explaining them to us so poetically and clearly, and for being here with us 175 years after his birth to continue enlightening us. This is why Spiritism began with a book, because a book brings light and healing for immortality. May we continue investing in our wisdom for immortal purposes now and always, dear friends. We wish you all a very beautiful evening, a decade filled with beautiful blessings, and a beautiful, beautiful new year with much, much, much light coming from above to all of us. All the best, dear friends, and we'll see you again next time. In the meantime, stay tuned right here on Kardec Radio, because here we are always nourishing our souls. Bye for now.